Sam's the woman with a heart of gold, helping mothers through the pain untold. When CPS came and took their dreams, Sam's there to mend those shattered seams. She's the light in the darkest hour, guiding moms with gentle power. Every tear, she feels it too, healing hearts, seeing them through. Leave our kids alone, you're breaking hearts. Moms need their children, don't tear them apart. Sam's out there fighting every day for a home where love will always stay. Trauma lingers, cut so deep. Sam's the one who helps them sleep, with a hand to hold and words to say. She brings hope to a weary day. In a small town where the whispers start, Sam's the shield for every breaking heart. Through broken dreams and endless nights, she stands tall and she shines her light. Leave our kids alone, you're breaking hearts. Moms need their children, don't tear them apart. Sam's out there fighting every day for a home where love will always stay. In a small town where the whispers start, Sam's a shield for every breaking heart. Through broken dreams and endless nights, she stands tall and she shines her light.
Hi, I'm Sam. Here on the CPS Breaking News channel. I'm honored to be here. My show is on the topic of healing. And I see, is it John? Hello, John. We're a little late getting started tonight, but you're probably used to things like that happening. But thank you for being here, John. I have a couple healing topics for us tonight. Justine Johnson has just entered the chat, I see, and I know her. Hey, Justine. Thank you for being here. I have two healing topics for tonight. One is sharing your story, and the other is radical acceptance. And so, John, thank you for being here. I think you're a regular. And Justine, I think you're new to CPS Breaking News. I know Justine from the support group I attend. So thank you for being here and showing your support. I appreciate that. I actually thought of you today, Justine. I did something today I've never done before. I found a group called TUB, and it stands for Concerned United Birth Parents. And they have a monthly like support meeting. And I did that today for the first time. And I thought of you. I'll share that information with you if you want me to later. But it, it was a good experience. It really was. I felt so heard, and I felt so connected, and as parents having to live without our children, that's an important part of our moving forward. We live the majority of our days trying to forget about our children, and then dealing with the guilt of even thinking or having to do such a thing just to get by. But there was a time when couldn't even have pictures of my kids on the wall, and then I'd feel bad about that, but I just had to survive, and it does get better. And we love our kids. We should never feel guilty about something like that. But yeah, it was Concerned United Parents. I'm sorry, Birth Parents, and it was really nice today. It put me in a good mood. I will. Um, oh, we always start with the feeling word. It might just be Justine and John. I'm not sure, but if you're listening right now, I always ask at the beginning to put in did I say healing? I meant feeling word. Just one word. First word that comes to your mind on how you're feeling right now. My my feeling word right now is hopeful. I'm feeling very hopeful lately. Hi, Miss Debbie. I'm glad you made it. We were a little late getting started. Do you have a feeling word for us, Miss Debbie, that you can share? Mine was hopeful. I'm feeling hopeful right now. John says neutral. I like it. It can go either way, but for now we're neutral. Okay. Um, okay. I guess nobody else is chiming in. Thank you, John. Neutral. Our feelings, they don't control us. Content. That's good. Um, I was sitting here trying to debate, do I want to start with sharing your story as part of healing or radical acceptance? I'm kind of leaning towards starting with radical acceptance because of the feelings words neutral and content. Okay, we'll start with radical acceptance. Um, I think radical acceptance gets overlooked a lot for two opposite reasons. One, because it's so simple, that it just gets looked over when, yes, it is simple, but so important. But on the flip side, it's not simple at all. Radical acceptance is accepting everything in your life for the way it is. And when you're a parent without your children, that can be quite hard and difficult to do. John says, I must feel, and I refuse to hate them for what they've done. I used to never let my kids say the word hate. And you're right. I do say I hate CPS, but not on a rage level and a bitter level. I've had to forgive on my journey, that's for sure. Hi, Brenda. Hopeful. I'm feeling hopeful too. Um, Uh, Radical acceptance was the only positive thing I got out of my CPS experience. I've said that many times these past like 5 or 6 years. And then today in the support group that I attended for the first time, the Concerned United Birth Parents, one of the moms was talking about radical acceptance. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to talk about that today. And actually, I journaled about radical acceptance a couple of nights ago, and I wanted to share what came over me in that journal entry. So, yes, hey Brenda, I'm glad you're here. So, radical acceptance, able to say that your life is what it is. You can't ask why, why God, why me? Can't do that. No more blame, no more shame, no more and blaming yourself or blaming someone else. Just literally accepting that your life is the way it is. And that's it. Um, and the way to do that is simply telling yourself that, just being willing to be open to that and to believe that, um I was able to get to that place a few years ago, but I know that when you're not in that place, that it's a big contrast, to accept reality and to not. I don't like accepting reality, but I have, and it's important. Um, no one is ever expected to accept it from a place of weakness and submission. It's actually quite the opposite. Once you accept reality in your life for the way it is, it puts you in a place of more control actually over your life and your decisions and your plans moving forward. Um, it doesn't happen that exact moment, but for me, it quickly happened. It seems like it happens without you even realizing it, but radical acceptance also taught me how to uh, be emotionally regulated. I used to be very emotionally reactive, and radical acceptance, BDT, taught me how to regulate my emotions. CPS made me a very angry person there for a little while, and it scared me. I was so angry. And so I got a lot out of that class. BDT, it's behavior dialectical therapy. Um, it's good stuff. Has anybody heard of CB? What is it? CBD? No, BDT. It was one of the classes I had to take for my case plan. BDT, behavior dialectical therapy, along with my parenting class, and I guess that was my only class, parenting. They tried to get me to take anger management, but I told them that was ridiculous, that I wasn't the angry one, my abuser, the dad was. So they'll definitely try to stick you in anything that they can. One of the like practices that they have people do is called half smile open hands, or half smile willing hands. It's just your hands up, your palms up, and the practice is for you to think of someone you're angry with. Just imagine a person you're angry with, and smile. Or during your day when there's a moment that you're irritated, like say there's a long line somewhere or something, to just take a moment, take a deep breath, and lift the corners of your mouth and do like a half smile. And the reason for that is that our body cues to our brain when we're safe. And so, um, in moments like that, we can like trick our body to become emotionally regulated by not being in that survival mode, just by the lifting of the sides of our mouth in a half smile. So that's one of the things that they that I remember having to do. It feels weird to think of my ex who destroyed my life and smile. Yeah, he did a real good job of destroying my life. So that's a weird exercise, you know. But it makes sense. Um, oh, my journal entry. I was going to tell you about. Uh, uh, when I was journaling, I I got onto the thought of the circle of control, the things that we can control and the things that we can't. And thank you, Justine. So I was thinking of of control. I was thinking of radically accepting my life and the way it was, and how I don't know when I'm going to see my kids again. I have no idea what day it'll be, what year it'll be. I have no idea. But what I do have control over is the person that my children will see on whatever day it is that we're reunited. You know, I have absolutely control over nothing else about that. But when that moment comes and when that day comes, the person that they lay their eyes on, I have full control over that. And I have control over my children seeing, when they lay their eyes on me for the first time again, a strong woman, a loving mother who adores them, someone stable, you know, and someone responsible and healthy. You know, like I have control over that. And so that brought me a lot of comfort. You know, I pray it's sooner than. Thanks, Henry. I, of course, pray that that day comes sooner than later, but um, yeah, that puts a parent in a empowering place to be, and it gives me a lot to work on. You know, it's not hard to be those things, but it takes work, and I gotta do it from a place of grieving. But I'm doing it, and so yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that, Henry. Thank you. Justine says, I feel like I have to practice a lot to smile and think about my ex at the same time. The exercise it goes on to say like, imagine your ex and how they view the world. Imagine your ex and do they have control? I can't remember the details, but what it's trying to do is to get you to have compassion for them. For me, it got me to a place where when they were a small child, they were abused. You know, hurt people hurt people. I think that was the point of it, to try to think of them as a small child, not the person they are today. But you're absolutely right, Justine. And smiling during the day when you're irritated, what came to my mind was a long line. And I was just thinking, look like a psychopath standing in a long line, and everybody's frustrated. and I'd just be there smiling. People would probably be scared and probably leave. The line might get shorter. Hey, that might be effective. Yes, it does. It does make sense. Thank you. Oh, the next topic is sharing your story, but I want to tell y'all real quick something I heard today in that support group. I've never heard this before. Two moms shared. They've their children are older, and they've had their reunion with their children. These two separate moms, and in sharing that, both of these moms shared how their now adult child commented on their biological mother's voice. One of the moms said that her daughter says to her, "Mom, just talk. There's just something about your voice." And so sometimes she'll read little stories or something to her just for her daughter she's been reunited with to hear her voice. And that got me so emotional. That touched my heart. And the other mom shared the same thing. I don't remember the context that she said it in, like that particular mom, but both these moms had been separated from their biological child for over a decade. And they both shared today how their adult children said that their voice, the other mom might have said that her daughter remembered her voice. I think that is what she said. And I was just like, oh my gosh. It got me emotional in a good way, I guess. Yeah, but that impacted me. That definitely impacted me today. But it makes sense. A baby can hear their mother when they're in the womb. Even more reasons not to separate children from their mothers. When I shared today in the group, I shared about how I don't understand how an adoptive parent can justify having zero contact with the child's biological family. And the feedback I got today was that it did have to do with control and jealousy and betrayal and loyalty, like, the adoptive parent has invested all this time and money, whatever, into the child, and that out of loyalty, you know they had to only care about them and not the biological parent, basically. And I've tried to give the adoptive parents the benefit of the doubt, but I keep coming to the same conclusion that if you are raising someone else's child and you have contact with the biological parent or can easily, and they are a safe person and you still deny contact, I've tried to give as much grace as I can to those adoptive parents, but I think I'm to the point where there's just no grace to give. They're wrong. Yeah. I've looked at it from every possible angle 1,000 times or more, because I am grateful to the mom who has my two youngest daughters. I'm very grateful to her. She kept my daughters out of foster care. Like, I thank her. I have a lot of gratitude to give that lady, that mom, but she's wrong. She's wrong for what she's doing. So, and I know, Justine, you and I talk about that all the time in Bellis. That's the difference between adoptive parents who adopt to better children's lives and those who adopt to grow their own family. In my story, the adoptive mom has children, but they've just grew up. They just graduated high school. Um, so maybe it's the same thing, empty nest syndrome. Maybe it's the same principle. Yeah. Brenda says, I pray that my children can come home. Me too. That's where they belong. Brenda, I don't know if your children have been adopted or not. All the research I've done, adoption is very final. That it's extremely rare to overturn an adoption. And I'll hear that at the exact same time as I'm reading something that says that anything signed under duress is, basically null and void, which is my story situation. So it's all overwhelming. How did I find my children's adoptive parents? Well, I have and I haven't. I have 5 children. My 3 older children, I have no idea where they are. I think they're together, but I don't know who has them, where they are, nothing. My younger 2, I do know who adopted them because it's my ex-best friend, because it's a family that lives 10 minutes from me. Um, when my case was still open, it was my 2 youngest placement. My children originally were placed with their dad, my abuser. And then the month that I completed my case, because it took me over 2 years to get my own place, the month that I did that, he abandoned them, which threw them in foster care. And I was right there. I was fighting for my kids, but it didn't matter. Once they got in the foster care system, it seemed like they weren't coming out, and they didn't. I had literally just completed my case plan. It didn't matter. But my youngest 2, where they were placed, instead of foster care, I had 3 that went to foster care, 2 that did not, and so my youngest two's placement ended up adopting them. We Our town's not that big, so I heard through the grapevine, and and I've been sent a couple pictures from. I can't get on her Facebook, but we graduated high school together, so we have mutuals that have sent me a couple. I've probably got about 5 pictures the past 3 years, so I know they're still there, and they're with her and her husband, and she's a good person. That's what kills me. Like I want to hate her or dislike her or talk bad about her, but she's a good person. She comes from a good family. She has her own children who are now in college, but I mean, she's she has a good job, but I think she's very wrong about her decision regarding my children. Other than that, I have nothing bad to say about her. My older 3, I've racked my brain to try to think who has them, and the only conclusion I've come up with is that the one person who probably most likely knows where my other 3 children are is this adoptive mom. I'm assuming the siblings all have contact still. I hope to God they do. And so this adoptive mom of my 2 youngest probably knows where my other 3 children are. So she holds all the answers to my heart, and she won't have anything to do with me. So yeah. Date I don't want to say your name wrong. Daya? Daya? Dana. Dana. Just spelled differently. You were adopted from birth. That it sounds like your adoptive mom was honest with you. I think honesty is always the best policy, age appropriate, of course. I can't imagine. Oh, you say you can't imagine knowing your birth parents. And oh, and then being taken from them. I can't. I know. I know. It's as horrific as it sounds. Dana says anybody who adopts someone else's children should never keep them from the biological parents unless there are extenuating circumstances and it's not safe. Thank you. It's important in life to put ourselves in other people's shoes. And so I've put myself in the adoptive mom's shoes of my youngest two children. And I'm 100% certain that if I took on the care and custody of another woman's children, I am certain that I would do everything I could to make sure that that child had some sort of communication or contact or or something with their biological parent. If their biological parent was, there and willing, and and I would go out of my way to make it safe if they still weren't a safe parent. Like I'm certain I would do that because that's what's right and that's what's best for any child. So, um, the fact that I know in my story, and I know like in Justine's story, she's parenting her other children. There's just no reason of safety concerns. Um, and if there was, like, I'm an open book, or if there was, I would do whatever the adoptive mom needed to be reassured. Like, I would do anything to see my kid, I would do anything for any kind of minimal contact. I would do anything, you know but she won't even consider it. I appreciate your reply, Dana. I see it. Oh, Brenda, you don't know where your kids are either. Oh, as torturous as it is, sometimes I wonder if God is protecting me in a way by not knowing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, let's pretend that our children, Brenda, are in a not great place. What would we be able to do about it? Like, that's something that's not in our circle of control. And so I'm sure our kids are in safe places. I'm sure our kids are as strong as their mamas are, but if they weren't and we knew about it, there's nothing we could do. And that would be even more torturous than the torture of the torture. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess maybe it goes back to radical acceptance. It is what it is. It's the way that it is. But yeah, um, I don't know where they are. It's it's mind-boggling. I have put thought into where, like, is there someone I know who or a family member of my ex's who might, like, I do go down that thought pattern because I would like to reach out to whoever does have my kids to be like, "Hey, I'm stable. Ha have my kids showed interest or asked questions? At least this is my contact information." I would like, to make some kind of contact, but I can't think of who could possibly have them. Um, uh, there was something else I need to say with that, and I forgot. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. But the thought pattern of the worry, mothers worry. Are they safe? Do they have friends? Do their shoes fit? Are they comfortable at night? Do they need help with their homework? Yeah, are they sad? Uh, are they heard? Do just all those things. Like, I have to stop my thoughts when they go in that direction, because those are definitely things out of my control, and those are things that will definitely send me on a downward spiral to a dark place. When I catch myself starting to worry, do they miss me? Are they neglected? Are they being bullied? Are they not being treated right? And, I have to stop that train of thought. And and a lot of times I feel myself shift to anger, anger to CPS, anger to these caseworkers, anger to these attorneys, anger to these judges, because I'm 100% certain mothers know what's best for their children. Mothers know how to cater to their children in a way that nobody else does, or possibly humanly can. It's impossible. Like, mothers have that sacred bond with their kids. Mothers just know, what their kids need. Mothers know how to make boo-boos better. Mothers know. I'm not supposed to cry. Mothers are what's best, and so, I have to watch my anger towards CPS, because there's no point in being angry. Um, that only hurts me, not them. And so, all of that, we can fuel into sharing our story. And that was the second topic for tonight, is sharing our story, speaking our truth. I recommend it. I have something to show y'all on this topic. Thank you, Miss Debbie. You're so sweet. You're gonna make me cry too. Okay, I have the very first video that I ever made, and I want to show it to y'all, just a few seconds of it. This was the first time I picked up my phone, pressed record. This was the first time that the words came out of my mouth of what happened to me. This is the first time I spoke my truth, and this was hard, as you're gonna see. Like, it wasn't easy. And then I had to press publish, so I understand if you don't share your story publicly, why. I get it. But I am here to recommend for you to step out of your comfort zone and just do it. I wrote a blog on 6 ways to share your story. It doesn't have to be on social media. It doesn't have to be, you know, face video. There's other ways to share your story. But I think it's super important for parents healing to share their story. So I'm going to show you a little clip from the first time I shared my story, and just know I was terrified. Hi, I'm Sam. I wanted to make a quick video intro to post about my new page on Facebook, Make Waves. Make Waves is a part of my healing journey. Last summer, July 29th, my parental rights were terminated to my 5 children. So I endured a tremendous trauma. And I always thought if I lost my kids, I was scared, y'all. And I paused. And then I stuttered. But that moment right there truly began my healing journey. So I recommend everybody share their story in some way. And if it's speaking your truth, you know, it's gonna feel weird and be scary, but it'll be worth it. The only precaution, if you do choose to share your story on social media, is the negative feedback. I think you need to ask yourself, are you prepared for it? Because it's going to happen. I knew it wouldn't send me plummeting in a dark place if somebody commented that I was lying or commented that I deserved to lose my children, because I got all of that. I knew that I could handle it because I knew I was a good mom. I knew I never abused or neglected my kids. Plus, I knew that God placed it on my heart to share my story. So I was able to handle the negative comments. So that's definitely a question to ask yourself. But if you think that you can handle it, ignore it, and not be fazed by it, I do recommend sharing your story on social media. I don't know how much time we have left. It's Darren was I was thinking about having Darren jump in. I know he has shared his story. I have actually listened to Darren's podcast on Spotify from the beginning to end, and it's a very touching story. I'm sure that helped him heal, especially in the very beginning when it's so raw and so traumatic. But I'm not sure how much longer we have. And there's no telling what Darren's doing right now. Is there anybody in the Is there anybody in the comments with anything to say about sharing your story or not? I can't.
We got 15 minutes, Sam.
Darren.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk for the next 15 minutes? Are you available?
Sure am.
Okay.
Let me take my jacket off.
I just played a clip from the very first video I ever posted.
I remember your very first video. I've been following you for a long time.
Yes.
Or you or vice versa.
I was just saying, I remember your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
The one I showed was from Facebook. And then a month later is probably the one you saw on TikTok. But yeah.
When you went to TikTok, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that was it. I mean, mine came because my counselor, I was so pissed and so enraged that my counselor had said, you need to do something. And instead of doing something dangerous and doing something bad, why don't you do a podcast? And then I did. And then it was great because you were in your own little zone. You could say whatever you wanted to say. Because I just did, mine was, like I did it on Spotify. So I just told my story, put some music behind it and did that. It wasn't like doing this. It took me a while to
Right.
get to this stage, but it was great. It was a great way to get out your anger and express yourself and everything. However, what I didn't expect was the backlash from CPS that I got, and
Right.
that's them saying you can't do this. And then at that point, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa! You're not gonna. You've already taken my daughter. You're not gonna take away what I, how I feel, what I want to do, my rights, all of these things. You're not going to stop me from doing that. But they tried, and it cost me my daughter. So I often wonder if maybe if I would have stopped, what would have been the difference in the outcome. But I don't think there would have been a difference.
Right.
They just say that stuff to you to make you resent yourself more. Like, so
Right.
like whenever they're like, if you leave your husband, or if you don't leave this person, or do this person, or this or that or the other, they don't. That's all farce. That's
Yes.
just to cause hate and discontent amongst you, make you just be uncomfortable with what you're doing. So I mean, I highly suggest, like if people don't want to they don't want to tell their stories to people in the public, do it the way I did it. My first ones, go and just sit at a microphone in an empty room and just talk, and then just if you feel like it's for everybody else, then share it out there. I mean, there's millions of us, so
There
someone's
is.
going to listen. Someone's going to listen,
There is.
and it helps.
It does help. And that's where I'm at right now. I don't want one single parent suffering in silence or feeling alone. I'm done with that. I'm done with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like every single person traumatized by CPS deserves to be heard, or at least to be part of a community of healing.
Mm-hmm.
So
No,
I'm on a
you're
mission
absolutely
more,
right.
more so than ever.
They have to, because you know what? Then we show how strong we are. We show our size. We show how many. This is what I've always been trying to do. Is everybody just, oh, I'm trying to get this. Let's get on the same page and let's just show. No, if we all just start telling our stories one by one, you don't have to be in a group. As much as I've been trying to put it in one place, and like so we can show our masses. But if everybody just starts telling their stories, there's going to be a lot of storytellers. That in itself will show the sheer size of this. It's free. It makes you feel good. You can do whatever you can be mad in an episode. You could be upset. You can be, there's multiple ways that you can go when you tell your story. There's all kinds of different places you can go to with your story. Things that you didn't even know hurt you. In the story, like, wait a minute, whoa, I didn't even realize that happened. Because you just kind of let it sit there and you just go with it. Just tell it
You
how it
do.
is, how you remember it.
The 3 years I've been sharing my story, I've never sat down and wrote out topics. I've never like planned like any kind of content creating. Like I literally just speak what comes to my mind or my heart,
Mm-hmm.
about every day, every other day, whatever it is, and I have a bunch of content from the past 3 years, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
part of my healing, like whatever comes up. And that's very healing, you know?
And the other thing is this is it's a great way this day and age and the internet and everything. Like, I know my daughter, God willing, she remembers her real last name and everything. When she goes and searches her name on the internet, there's no way on earth that she's not going to find um, that we've been talking about her. So it's a great way for our
That too.
children, because I know that the children, when they come home, a lot of them are resentful. They're angry. Because they don't realize what they were told and what the truth is are two different worlds. Um, so they think maybe that you were a terrible parent or you were hated, and it's very easy to take a little mind and erase it and then create what you want it to have. Like, that's science proves that. But if you have something recorded and documented like that, you could say, whoa, 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 no, this is me 5 years ago. This is me 4 years ago. This is me every day that you were gone. I was here every day thinking of you. There was never one day that I stopped. There was never one day that I didn't do something. Um, and it's a tool that you can use for that.
Yeah.
The day that you get to see your children again, when they come at you, and they're going to come at you. They're going to be angry. They're going to be hurt. And it's just a way that you can say, for the record, no, because you can't really argue stuff with them. But this is, something that it's like an affidavit. It's your truth affidavit right here. Here it is, like, because people aren't going to do this that should have lost their kids. People that were
Right.
really abuseful and neglectful aren't going to be doing what we do. They're not going to be sitting
Right.
here day in and day out, doing the same thing. Those aren't the
Right.
people that are going to be doing this. So, unfortunately for those kids, they won't have that record when they get back, if they even try to go back.
Mhm.
But something tells me that all of us will see our kids again, because they know nothing happened um,
Mhm.
that warranted what happened to them. Because at the end of the day, too, they're the ones that are suffering the most in this. We understand what's going on. We don't like it, but we get it. The corruption is destroying our family. That's what's happening, and we understand and we try to fight it. But our kids don't know. They're taken and put in the dark, and maybe they're lucky enough to find you, and and that will give them some sort of reassurance too. Like if they're out there and they're listening, and maybe they catch a glimpse, they say, "That's my mom," or "That's my dad." Like I know them, I remember their voice, or something like that. Something to trigger them. It's the
That's
only
what
way that you
I
can.
heard today. I concerned, what was it called? Oh, I went to a new support group today. It was called Concerned United Birth Parents Hub.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And two of the moms who have reunited with their children, because the children are adults now, they had their reunion. Their adult children have told them their voice, something about their one said, "I remember your voice." The
Hmm.
other one said, "It's just something about your voice that's so familiar and soothing to me. Like, please just keep talking." And so the voice is something very significant. I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, well, you figure that starts in the womb. Like
Yeah.
you talk to the babies. You talk to your babies in the womb. They hear you. They hear everything that's going on. That's the first thing
Something
that they know.
it, you shared, how our children, this is also us. When a parent shares, it's also a way to show their child, "I never forgot about you." And that's
Hmm.
beautiful. Something, because I'm very fixated on the adopted parents right now, but
Hmm.
something that bothers me is when our children, say my children, for example, see that I never forgot about them and I lived a stable life, they're going to turn to the adopted parents and be like, "Why did you keep me from that?"
Right.
And then our children are still going to feel, you know,
Well,
anger,
that's
maybe not towards us, but I
because
could
they
think that.
can't then. But you know what? That's a way that you can be their parent again, if they're fortunate enough to come out and at that moment that they find that, because they know what, those adoptive parents aren't going to be able to reconcile with them and give them the comfort that they need. So
I
maybe
know.
that's something that you get to look forward to as a parent with being reunified. Like you get to be a parent all over again, and comfort
Yeah.
your children once again. And granted, they're not your children, and that sucks. Like there's nothing worse than like this time of year. You think, what will my 5-year-old be doing? What will my 6-year-old be doing? Like I'm not. I guess we can laugh about it and be like, well, at least we saved money at Christmas, right? But I mean, those are just the stupid little jokes that you make for yourself. And you have to do those things just to
It
make
was
it so that
bad.
you can get through, you know?
Well,
But you
good.
have to, you really do. You have to do something to push yourself through these holidays times, because people forget about, I mean, we don't even celebrate holidays anymore. We haven't celebrated a holiday since our daughter's gone. We don't do Christmas. We don't do Thanksgiving. We don't do birthdays. We don't do anything. It's just every day. It's just every day. And that's it. And it sucks. Some people don't understand it, and that's not for them to understand. It's not for. Sorry, like when people try to pull you in and be like, "Oh, well, just, dude, I am good, thank you very much." Like it's it's a tough time of year, and it's better just to ignore it. Um,
I
that's my
pray.
opinion.
I I know you stand firm on the note celebrating holidays,
Hmm.
and I think that more people need to hear that's okay.
Hmm.
It might be normal, but it's definitely maybe normal in our situation, and it's definitely okay. I think more parents need to hear that. You say that with such ease, you don't say that crying and, like you're missing out. Of course you're missing
Hmm.
out of your daughter, but not the holiday.
Hmm.
Fuck the holiday.
Right. What is it? That was for them. They took them from
Yeah.
us. So,
Yeah.
like that was it. I mean, obviously it's all about Jesus being born and all of that stuff. There's that aspect. And if you're Christian and, there is, but still you still don't need to go to the all out, like, decorating and the Christmas tree and all of that stuff. You don't have to do it. And it's okay that you don't do that. It's actually better that you don't, because why do you, like you were saying earlier, there was a point in time where you couldn't even have the pictures of your daughter up. like, or you should not your daughter. You had 5 children, but
So,
there was, you couldn't even have the pictures of them around, and like there was a point in time where I couldn't even say my daughter's name without crying. Like it would just be like you'd have to like hold on for all dear life. Like don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Like there's still certain. Like my daughter was, I mean, she was only 4 when they took her, but she was playing the drums, and she loved. Oh my God, what's the name of the band? 20, the Pilots, 24 Pilots, 21 Pilots, 21 Pilots. Anyway, something like that. They were really good at that time, but I can't listen to them at all. Me and my wife the other day, when the songs came on, and like hurry up, like which one of us can get to the remote control, like, so there are those things. It doesn't make you a freak, because like what world are we living in that's regular anymore? We're parents that had our kids stolen by a government that's rogue, and everybody else wants you to act like nothing happened. I mean, so what is normal, right? What's normal now? Like what we went into a court that's supposed to defend our rights, and instead they stomped on them. So what is normal for us? And then we live in a society where everybody tells you it's drama, stop it, leave it alone, get over it, this, that, or this. But would they tell you that if your child was murdered? Would they tell you that if your kid was actually kidnapped by somebody? No, they would never say that. But because the government does it, it's okay. You know what I mean? It's a disgusting thing to have to go through. You get isolated, you get thrown into. I never knew anybody in the CPS situation when I was before I did this. Now, only people I know are people in CPS. Like that's it. Like I never, if I heard someone say that they lost their kids to CPS, I would be like, piece of shit, I'm out. I don't even want to talk to you. So, and maybe that was God striking me down for being too too. I wasn't nice enough to them. Like, so you get a taste of your own medicine, or maybe it was because this is where we were supposed to be. Like there's all those things. But what I do know is that doing these podcasts and talking with people and getting out there, it's so much better than sitting in your house sulking, being upset, on the verge of unaliving yourself every day. I mean, because we all go through that stuff. You're too tired to even get out of bed. You don't take shower. Like you don't even want to answer the phone. The wind blows the wrong way and you're bawling your eyes out. And so being able to go out. I mean, I used to get up in the middle of the night and just be like, I got to do one of these podcast things. Like I would have to like go in the bathroom and be like whispering them almost. You know what I mean? Like, because I didn't want to seem like I was a freak. But it made me feel so much better to talk about it. And instead of going to a counselor that is paid to listen to your problem, you get to do things like this and talk to people like you or me or whatever, and you get to put things up on and get you get to
I don't know how to set up Spotify and just do a voice podcast. I'm gonna share that with people this week, because they
yeah
need they.
they call it
And
creators something now. I think it's not the same thing anymore. It's called the creator
okay.
Spotify creators program, but they still do it the same thing. And it's cool. Like especially if you're, it's
It was
hard to
very
do this. It's
it
hard
was
to
very
do this right
I
here.
like it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. It is.
to put your face out there, to open yourself up to the ridicule and to the all of that is very hard.
It is.
So and you're right, because we've been fortunate. We've been very fortunate. There's only been a couple of times since we've been doing this that we've had some sort of a rogue asshole come on and talk some trash or whatever. And I want to thank everybody that watches and listens and joins us and everything, because
Good
everybody's
night,
been really
Dana.
cool. Everybody's been really cool. And
Yeah, I'm
but you
very
know what,
grateful.
one good comment null and voids all the bad ones anyway.
It does.
So
It absolutely does.
so
I
yeah.
we have. Are we out of time? I was gonna.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna show the piece of the second video I ever made, and then
Sure.
tell everybody goodbye, because it
Mhm.
something you said. Oh, you'll see. Yeah, something you said made me think of it, and I think everybody can see the contrast of me, and if they have seen a TikTok video recently, the contrast of me And then this was just 3 years ago, right after my TPR. Well, a few months after my TPR. All right, here we go. Talking to my 2 older sons who weren't ever involved with DCF. And we were having a great conversation. And then my son asked me, in regards to my 5 children who are gone, how do I do it? How am I making it? How am I surviving without my kids? I don't think about them, but I do. I can't worry about them. Like, it overwhelms me. It's very unhealthy. But I have pictures of them up finally. It's been 8 months, and I do have pictures of them up, so I do think about them. When I start to think about them individually, I feel a downward spiral coming, and I have to stop. I thought I would die without my kids, and I'm not dead, so I'm proud of that. I told my sons I stay busy, doing healthy things. So yeah, I've come a long way.
Oh yeah, you have.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. That's really good stuff.
All right. Well, thank you, Darren. Thank you.
No, well, thank you, Sam, very much. All right.
Everybody, don't forget about cpsbreakingnews.com. There's resources there, and I got blogs there that you can read. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I'll be here next Saturday. And you can always find me on TikTok at Sam's Healing Journey.
Sam's the woman with a heart of gold, helping mothers through the pain untold. When CPS came and took their dreams, Sam's there to mend those shattered seams. She's the light in the darkest hour, guiding moms with gentle power. Every tear, she feels it too, healing hearts, seeing them through. Leave our kids alone, you're breaking hearts. Moms need their children, don't tear them apart. Sam's out there fighting every day for a home where love will always stay. Trauma lingers, cut so deep. Sam's the one who helps them sleep, with a hand to hold and words to say. She brings hope to a weary day. In a small town where the whispers start, Sam's the shield for every breaking heart. Through broken dreams and endless nights, she stands tall and she shines her light. Leave our kids alone, you're breaking hearts. Moms need their children, don't tear them apart. Sam's out there fighting every day for a home where love will always stay. In a small town where the whispers start, Sam's a shield for every breaking heart. Through broken dreams and endless nights, she stands tall and she shines